So what if I told you there's a company that quietly doubled Donald Trump's fortune in just 1 year? A secret bank, really, poised to make his family billions, all while leveraging the power of the presidency in a way we've never seen before. Okay, let's get into this, because what reporters have uncovered is a wild story of secret deals, eyebrow-raising characters, and a blurring of lines that has no precedent in American history. This is the company at the heart of it all, World Liberty Financial. I'm guessing you've probably never heard of it, but according to these deep dive investigations, this very obscure firm is the key to a story about unbelievable wealth and the highest office in the land.
And we're not talking about small change. This company, along with another crypto venture, has reportedly become the new engine of the Trump family's wealth. We're talking about the potential for billions with a B. The real question is, how?
To really get what's going on here, you first have to understand the absolutely dramatic shift in Donald Trump's own view on cryptocurrency. And I mean, it is a complete 180.
Just go back to 2019. This was his public stance. He tweeted that crypto isn't money, that its value is based on thin air, and that it helps illegal activity. To put it mildly, he was not a fan. And it wasn't a one-off thing. 2 years later, in 2021, he hammered it home. He told Fox Business that Bitcoin, quote, just seems like a scam. You can't get much clearer than that, right?
And then this happens. Flash forward to 2024, and he's on stage promising to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world. So what on earth changed? How do you go from scam to a national priority?
Well, in a word, politics. You see, the Biden administration, with SEC Chair Gary Gensler, launched this huge regulatory crackdown on the crypto world. They hit firms with something like $6 billion in penalties, and that created a very angry, very motivated group of 50 million American crypto owners, and a massive political opportunity that Trump decided to grab with both hands.
But while all that's happening publicly, behind the scenes, his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, reportedly saw something else. Not just a political play, but a massive financial one. They're said to have cooked up 2 ventures, and the first was a very, very public gamble, a meme coin.
And get this, just look at how this coin was set up. Right from the jump, 2 businesses controlled by Trump held 80% of all the coins. At its peak, that slice of the pie was worth a jaw-dropping $5.8 billion. To put that in perspective, that accounted for about 90% of his entire net worth at the time.
But here's where the story really splits into 2 completely different tales. Now, the Trump family hasn't sold their main stash, but they still reportedly raked in an estimated $335 million from other sales and fees. But for the public, after a big initial spike, the coin's value cratered, and nearly half of the people who bought in lost money.
And this is where you start to see the potential conflict of interest really taking shape. The reported plan was this. After an election win, Trump gets to replace the head of the SEC. The new leadership could then just announce that meme coins aren't securities. This sets up a situation where the president's own family could profit massively from an industry that he himself is now regulating.
But you know, that meme coin, as wild as all that sounds, it might just be the warm-up act. The much bigger, much more secretive venture that investigators uncovered is this crypto bank, World Liberty Financial.
So who's running the show? Well, you've got the Trump sons, of course. You've got Steve Witkoff, a real estate mogul and old friend of Trump's, and his son Zach. And then, according to the New York Times, the cast of characters gets, well, interesting. You have a guy who used to run a website called Date Hotter Girls, and another who sold get-rich-quick advice. That's quite a team.
$75 million. That's how much money one crypto entrepreneur, a guy named Justin Sun, reportedly plowed into World Liberty Financial's own coin right after the election. So why should you care about that name?
Well, because at the exact same time he's making this investment, the SEC is actively suing him for fraud. And according to the investigation, the expectation was that after a potential Trump inauguration, the new SEC would ask a judge to just pause that lawsuit. For his part, Sun said the investment was just a vote of confidence in Trump.
And it's this pattern that led to some really serious allegations. That these ventures weren't just about selling digital coins. They were about selling access and influence.
a quid pro quo.
The New York Times reported on this alleged scheme called an asymmetrical currency swap. Sounds complicated, right? But here's the reported pitch, broken down. A crypto company buys, say, $20 million of World Liberty's coin. In return, World Liberty buys a smaller amount of that company's coin, basically netting themselves a tidy premium. And the sales pitch to justify that premium, reportedly it was, "We're super close to the president."
Now, to be clear, World Liberty Financial shot this down hard. They told the New York Times it would be, quote, false, absurd, and dangerous to suggest any of these investments were some kind of political pay-for-play.
But then, investigators point to another one of these, let's call them eyebrow-raising connections. For example, after World Liberty Financial announced a partnership with a company called Athena Labs, it was noted that a future President Trump could potentially pardon an investor in that same company, an investor who had already pleaded guilty to financial crime.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second and look at the big picture. Because when you stack all of these pieces up, what you're looking at is a situation that is truly without precedent in modern politics. Just look at this. According to a Forbes analysis, crypto could soon make up the vast majority of Trump's wealth. His entire real estate empire, which he built over decades, would be dwarfed by these crypto ventures that have blown up in the very same year he might return to the presidency.
And it's not just domestic money either. Foreign governments are reportedly getting in on the action. There's a reported deal where a state-owned company from Abu Dhabi would use the Trump family's new stablecoin for a $2 billion investment into the crypto exchange Binance. That's a foreign government directly enriching the U.S. president's family business.
So what's the bottom line here? The picture this investigation paints is something the New York Times called an oligarchy. It's a scenario where those long-held norms separating a president's private business from public policy are gone, where foreign governments could directly enrich the American leader, and where, if you've got the cash and some legal troubles, an investment in the right place might just make those troubles go away. And that leaves us with one fundamental question, a question that goes way beyond any single person or party. In this strange new world, where is the line between private enterprise and public office? And has it already been completely erased?